Hi, I'm J. Lenora Bressler. We've been having some difficulty with Facebook Live, but it looks like it's going now. So welcome to the November 9th, 2017 edition of the Bible Delight in the Details. We are in a multi-session series on the 5 offerings of Leviticus, and we've been talking about the fact that they are acting as precursors or harbingers or predictions of the work and life of Jesus Christ. Now, we talked about that the first offering is the burnt offering, and representing Jesus, it had to be an unblemished male, and it had to be completely consumed on the altar, just as Jesus gave everything in his sacrifice for us. Second, though, is the grain offering, and we talked about that there were 4 ways in which the grain offering could be offered. Now, I told you that it is for gratitude. It was a offering of gratitude. One of the things that I said was that in the discussion in Leviticus 2 of the grain offering, there's an allusion to an offering that was done of grain on a particular day, and that was first fruits. And I said we would return to that. In another program, we will talk about the 7 festivals that God ordained the Israelite nation to have. And just like the offerings, these festivals were to teach them and get their minds ready for the work of Jesus Christ later. There are 4 festivals in the spring that correlate to his earthly ministry the first time he came, and then there's 3 more in the fall that allude to things that are going to happen when he returns again. You can find the correlation there in Revelation. But one of the festivals that correlates with his work that he has already done is the festival of first fruits. Now, this actually occurred on what we would call Easter, the first Easter. So first fruits and correlation with Easter is very, very significant and not a coincidence at all. Paul tells us in the New Testament that Christ is our first fruit, so the connection is absolutely clear. The idea of the first fruit was this. The barley crop was the first of the crops to come to fruition. So on the day of first fruit, some of the barley crop was brought in, and it was considered grain, and it was offered before the Lord in gratitude. And also the idea was, because God had been gracious to bring forth that first harvest, he would bring forth others later as well. It was kind of like a down payment. So you came thanking God, waving it in front of him, putting it on the altar, and then the priests were able to eat that. That was the priests, that belonged to the priests. That's what they lived on. Now, a couple interesting things about this. The barley crop that was sacrificed in the grain offering on the day of first fruits was actually a specific piece of barley grain that had grown up in what was considered kind of like the national barley garden. And so early on, at the very beginning, when the seedlings were just coming through the ground, the high priest would go out and would actually designate one of the young pieces of barley growing up as this is going to be the barley that we sacrifice later when it is fully harvested. And he would actually put a scarlet cord. How evocative is that? A scarlet red cord like blood. And then the barley would be allowed to grow up, and on the day of the first fruit, the high priest would go out and cut off the harvest, the red cord barley, the one that had been designated as the first fruit for the whole nation of Israel, to represent the first fruit of the nation of Israel, and that is what would be sacrificed. That is so exactly what has happened with Christ. Because of Christ's sacrifice in the burnt offering, he is the first fruit. He is the first of all of us to be raised from the dead. But because he was the first, we know that we who believe in him, we will be like the harvests of other crops that come later. It's a beautiful picture. Now, interestingly, why is it that the priests were allowed to eat this? Because they, like us, are going to be benefiting from this. They are the next harvest. Just like all of us who believe are the harvest. And so we also, we Christians, we know that now there is something called, because of Christ.